right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Achakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops at Great Millstone. I'm your brother, Rabbi Knapp, coming out with a lesson. Lord's will, this is edifying to the Lord's elect. I found this this news article on Al Jazeera. It's I was watching something with Carlson Tucker. He did an interview with, I guess his name is Mike Huckabee. Let's look up Mike Huckabee real quick. I think he's like who is this dude? United States ambassador to Israel. So he did an interview with Carlson Tucker, and good interview, but I didn't watch the whole thing, but there's little clips of it going. He's sharing with the internet for the last couple of days, and he was talking about how he pretty much said Israel should just take over the whole Middle East, and now they're in an uproar about it. But for some reason, Carlson Tucker don't know nothing about the scriptures. He ran into the prophets. You know, he actually met the apostles. You know how many men that never even met the apostles? You actually got to speak to them, and, you know, sometimes that ain't enough, you know, and, you know, he's just showing you that, man. He don't know the scriptures, man. He don't know he's so dumb. Well, according to Genesis, the 15th chapter, like, you don't read. You're so scholarly. You got all these interviews. You got videos and interviews with Vladimir Putin. You know, you got all this knowledge, but you don't know nothing about the Bible, man. You'll never come to the knowledge of the truth, but yet you can fix your mouth and say that you're a Christian. That's what's wrong with you. You know, I don't know if he's a heathen now, but he's starting to give me those heathenistic vibes. I was giving him the benefit of the doubt, but when it comes to things that, you know, simple things, man, he can't get it, man. All right? He can't get it. But anyways, this says U.S. envoy suggests it would be fine if Israel expands across Middle East. It would be fine if they took it all, Mike Huckabee says when asked about expanding Israel from the Nile to the Euphrates. And listen to this article in 5 minutes. I can do that? Oh, hold on. This feature using an automated voice. This may result in occasional errors in pronunciation or sentiment. To learn more, click here. I'm just going to read it myself. Mike Huckabee, the United States ambassador to Israel, has suggested that he would not object if Israel were to take most of the Middle East, stressing what he described as the Jewish people's right to the land. Okay. All right, there's no such thing as Jewish people, man. That's a made-up term. All right, you got the Jews from Judah, or you're an Israelite. You know, this is made up. Israeli made up. That's made up shit. So you don't have no right to the land. All right, you're an Edomite. You got a right to you don't even have a right to your own land. Okay, you have a right to go into slavery and then be destroyed. That's your right. All right. Let me see. But not everyone over there is an Edomite. You know, Deuteronomy 28 verse 64 tells you that the nation of Israel is scattered within all nations. So only the elected Israel and the 2/3, you know, after they get put to death and they get brought back through the kingdom. But the majority of them are Edomites, Amalek specifically. So, yeah. So he's talking to them, you know, so he agrees that, yeah, you have a right to the land. That right belongs to the nation of Israel. All right? I don't even know where to start. You know, I'm kind of just going through the spirit. You know, Genesis 12. Abraham journeys to Egypt, Genesis 12:1. Now the Lord said unto Abraham, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house unto a land that I will show thee, and I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee, and in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. You're not going to be blessed if these niggas get any more land than they already have. All right? They're gonna oppress you. All right? And they're going to continue to set up honeypot operations until they take over the world and then destroy themselves, because they don't they're not the real Israelites, man. They're not establishing the law, statutes, and commandments. And when you don't do that, your kingdom only got a short time to rule before it gets destroyed. Now the Lord's allowing them to do all these things, so I should grab Isaiah 40. Psalms. Let me start with Psalms 2. It says, Psalms 2:1, why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? So the heathen are raging. Let's look at this word rage. It's ragash.
Strong's H7283, Ragash.
Ragash. Okay, it means to plot. What are they plotting about? They're plotting just like Pinky in the Brain to try to take over the world. All right? That's their plot. Their plot is, the way they're going to do it is they're going to establish a new world order. All right? That's the plot. The plot is to continue to rule past the time that they were allotted by the Lord. All right? So I wanted to grab that so I can grab Psalms 49 and 11. Okay, the inward thought is, meaning the thoughts, they think these things, right? That their houses shall continue forever. So the house of Esau is not going to continue forever, okay? And these other nations like Moab and Elam, maybe even Russia, they think they're going to be up next. So it's all these heathen having these plots in their head that they're going to rule, or they're next to rule, or whatever they think is going to happen. And their dwelling places up to all generations, so they think they'll be able to pass down to all their generations. They call their lands after their own names, but that's not going to be the case. Okay? So he said that the houses shall continue forever. So let me grab this in the book of Obadiah. Verse 18, in the house of Jacob shall be a fire, in the house of Joseph a flame, in the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord hath spoken it. Now, why is that important? Because if the Lord have spoken that your house ain't going to continue, everything that you're doing, that's you plotting in vain. Vanity is worthless. All this plotting and coming up with plans and wildfires over here and setting up regime changes in other countries and ICE agents all over the place, changing your money to a digital currency, putting neural links in people's brains and in their right hands, all of this crap, setting up wars in other countries, stealing people's resources, all vanity. Where I want to go, verse 18, there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord hath spoken it. Yeah, so, it's all vanity. Did I want anything else? I forgot what the precept I was looking for, as a matter of fact. Oh, I wanted to go to 2nd Esdras, the 6th chapter. Second Esdras 6:1, and he said unto me in the beginning, when earth was made, before the borders of the world stood, or ever the winds blew, before it thundered and lightened, or ever the foundations of paradise were laid, before the fair flowers were seen, or ever the movable powers were established, before innumerable multitudes of angels were gathered together, or ever the heights of the air were lifted up, before the measures of the firmament were named, or ever the chimneys in Zion were hot, and the present years were sought out, or ever the inventions of them that now sin were turned, before they were sealed that have gathered faith for a treasure. So that's talking about the elect. Before they were sealed that have gathered faith for a treasure. Okay, so before the elect were even created, before the world was created, before lightning even was created, thunder, the foundations of paradise, okay, the Lord had a thought, okay. It says, then did I consider, 2nd Esdras 6:6, these things, and they all were made through me alone, and through none other. By me also they shall be ended, and by none other. So before even Esau was even thought about, and before the elect, before the Yahweh Shai, this is all the purposes of the Heavenly Father alone. This is what he wanted to do. Okay, so Esau coming up with plans to try to come around that after the fact, that's even in the Heavenly Father's program. He wanted him to think like this. So he don't have any, this is all vanity. The Lord put these thoughts in his head. So for him to speak them, it's not even his own thoughts. This is the prophecies of the Lord playing out. This is what we're seeing. Okay, 2 Ezra 6 and 7. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the time? So Ezra is asking the angel, I believe Gabriel. Is it Gabriel? Let me just double check, because I kind of go back. Second Esdras is Ezra talking to Gabriel. The prophet Ezra talks with an angel sent by God to answer his questions regarding suffering. While the text does not, it's Uriel. It explicitly not identify the specific angel as Gabriel. It explicitly names his name as Uriel. Excuse me. His name is Uriel. Right. So that's who he's talking to, right? And he says, then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the time? So when you part something asunder, you split it in two. So he's asking, when is this going to be finished? When is that parting asunder of times? When is the end going to be? He's pretty much asking. Or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So 2 Ezra 6 and 9 cuts all that. China's next. Russia got next. There's going to be wars. Like these other heathen powers are going to rule out of, this war that's coming. So it's all vanity. And speaking about it carnally, it kind of, it looks like there's no way in hell that the nation of Israel is going to rule. They have no fight in the battle. And I get it. It's like, you got to be out of your mind and think that the Lord's going to set you niggas up. That's how the world looks at us. But you don't understand who the Father is. And these are the same people that just put ashes on their damn foreheads, talking about they're saved and they're converted. They have no clue what's going on, man. They're stupid. They're in complete darkness, Ecclesiastes 11. But the scriptures, they have an answer for everything. Every single thing, man. All these questions that once you get a little bit of the knowledge, you start to ask these simple questions. The Lord got an answer for that. He left us with every single answer. You should be, if you were smart, if you had any form of logic, if you ask any logical question, the Bible answers it perfectly. Just like I said, the last person you think that's going to rule is Israel. It tells you in the book of Ecclesiastes in the Apocrypha, chapter 11, verse 5, many kings have sit down upon the ground, meaning a king sitting down upon the ground is meaning he got his kingdom taken away from him. Okay? So there was many kings that happened to. And why did it happen? Because the Lord sets up these boundaries that these different nations can't pass. Here it is, within the next 10 to 15 days, supposedly from the duck, he about to go on in Iran. Iran used to run the whole world. Now look at them. They got some damn Edomite telling them what to do now. And he was a low-level motherfucker when he took over Persia back in the day. These people always been low-level. If it wasn't for the Lord, these people have no fight in the battle. Them Persians were, if the Lord wasn't dealing with them. He said, and he took them out in like 12 years, 120 provinces. They had a massive army. And this is with shield and swords and archers. You know, this isn't with thermonuclear missiles. And he was able to take them down with some white trash. So imagine what he gonna do with the nation of Israel, his elect. Ecclesiasticus 11 verse 5, many kings have sit down upon the ground, and one that was never thought of have worn the crown. Who's this one that was never thought of have won the crown? You know, ain't no one talking about that. You know what? Let's ask ChatGPT. Maybe I'm lying. I could be lying. Chat could lie too, though. This verse is about reversal of status, how the Most High controls promotion and demotion. And Esau's being demoted. You know, he had everyone liking him. Everyone thought he was cool. Now that you find out he drank blood and eats kids and he likes little boys and girls, now you ain't fucking with him anymore. It's because the Lord has exposed him. The Lord kept that a secret for a while. This is just popping out now. I mean, people knew about Epstein for a while though. You know, but I guess you couldn't do anything about it. Everyone was scared to say anything about him. But now the Lord took that spirit away. That woman who, beginning of the year, she died, not this year, last year. She was ready to testify. She said took her years to build up the courage. You know, especially when you're a young girl and then it takes you time to cope with what you had, and then you realize, you know, you probably would have just took the L and counted as your own stupidity, but then you see it happening to other women. Then you're like, I gotta do something. I don't want this to happen to somebody else. And the Lord put the spirit on, and then she loses her life. And then they blame it on, I think they said that she did it to herself or something. I forgot the lady's name, but she was ready to expose everything because she understands it's bigger than her. You know, even if she loses her life, she ain't really losing in vain, because if she was alive today, she would see how much publicity since her death, and you know, it's been gaining a lot of traction. You know, especially the motherfucker Prince Andrew getting arrested and all of that. She didn't even testify, but yet he's still getting locked up. He's still getting his accolades taken away. You know, imagine what she would have been saying in this time. Telling you how much of a piece of shit him and his whole family is. How all them European, all Edomites ain't shit. You know, she would be telling you the spilling the beans. You know, probably some other things that she saw too, that she, you know, especially when you start to talk about it, shit that you suppress starts coming up. Like, oh shit, I forgot I even saw some shit like that. So the fact that they put her to death, in my opinion, all alleged, is because she knew a lot. She knew a lot, man. She probably came to the conclusion, in order to save her life, you know, you start playing along with the abuse until you find a safe exit. And I think that's what happened to that lady. It says, many kings have sat down upon the ground, kings, rulers, men in power, those exalted in authority. And you see these kings today, right? They're rulers, they're men in power, they're exalted in authority. You can't lock them up. They're above the law. Sat down upon the ground, brought low, humbled, dethroned, destroyed. Okay? This shows that power is not permanent. The Most High removes rulers when their time is up. So there's a specific amount of time these heathen are supposed to be doing their thing. Let me grab this in the book of Job 14. Actually, Is it 14? I think it's 14, verse 5. Seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. And that's Esau. He has a set amount of time. The Lord knows what day, what hour, what second that he's done. And he's the only one who knows that. It's the book of Job 7:1. Is there not an appointed time to man upon earth? Are not his days also like the days of a hireling? That's right. You know, you hireling. Let's look at this word hireling. You know, you pay somebody to do a job, right? You pay him for the day. And that's like Esau. Let me look at this word hireling. Sakar.
Strong's H 7916. Sachir.
Sakir. It says hired man, of animal, hireling, hired laborer, or mercenary. Let's look at this word mercenary. A mercenary is an armed individual, often a former professional soldier hired to engage in foreign military conflicts for private financial gain rather than political or ideological loyalty. So the Lord is using Esau for a purpose. All right? And his purpose is almost up. Just like he does with these other leaders. Esau will be setting up these different leaders, like Saddam Hussein, for example. And then when he's done with them, he puts them to death. Proverbs 16, verse 4, the Lord hath made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. That's Esau. That's literally what he's created for. That's his reward, to be destroyed. And he's actually a king right now. All right? As a matter of fact, that matches up with he that is today a king, tomorrow shall die. KJV. Ecclesiasticus 10, verse 10. The physician cutteth off a long disease. Who's the physician? Our Lord Yahweh Shai. All right, he's coming and he's going to cut off this long disease, which is Esau Edom. He's a cancer in the earth. What do you do with mold if you find mold in your house? Do you leave it in the house so it can get to every other room and cost more money and be more damaging? Or do you cut out what you can now so you can save the rest of the house? That's what Esau is. All right? There's nothing you can do with him. All right? He's a plague. He's a disease. He's a cancer. There's no need for cannibals and pedophiles and all these different abominations that the Lord deems as abominable. You know, there's not much of a difference between all of these. Every sin that you commit, there is no real difference between them all. They all lead to death. You know, so we need some type of authority to stop sin from growing, because sin's always going to be around, but it's going to not be within the nation of Israel. But the rest of you heathen, y'all going to always deal with sin. But the reason why it's going to be better for you in the kingdom is that we're going to teach you the ways of the Lord, and that's going to prevent you from yourselves, because you guys are beasts. So you don't understand. You need your asses kicked so you can learn about the Lord, and you can practice, and you can walk according to righteousness, and that's going to profit you in the long run. All right? But that doesn't start until this disease gets taken out the way, and we need a physician. Okay, because we can't do it ourselves. We're powerless. Okay, we need our Lord. There's no getting around it, and that's what the Lord has showed us. He's showing you a complete dependence on him. And if you ain't down with that, you're going to die. All right? And he that is today a king, who's a king today? Okay? Tomorrow shall die. Okay? So he's going to be dead tomorrow. Let's see what it says. It won't even give me that. Yeah, it won't even. Let's see. He that is, it says, He switches to Ecclesiastes. Esau, see, his program is is bullshit because he knows it's talking about him. He knows it's talking about him. Oh, Ecclesiasticus? Did you mean Ecclesiastes? You know, like, come on, man. Precepts. It's 1 Samuel 2, verse 7 through 8. The Lord maketh poor, maketh rich. He bringeth low and lifteth up. That's right. Let's keep going, though. Examples, it says. I was thinking about this precept, Psalm 75. Promotion cometh not from the east or west, but the Most High puts down one and sets up another. So he's the one who determines who's going to be ruling. He's the author of who gets sovereignty. You can read about that in Wisdom of Solomon, the 6th chapter. He tells you that sovereignty comes from the highest. Let's see where that says that. Wisdom of Solomon 6:3. For power is given you of the Lord, in sovereignty from the highest. Who shall try your works and search out your counsels? How is he going to try your works? He going to judge you according to the law. All right? And Esau don't follow the law at all. So he's going to get it the worst. Now, he might have had some more favor with the other, some of these other nations, but that was because of the rebellion of the Israelites. But he turned around and took those different kingdoms away. But he had more mercy on Babylon than he's going to have for Esau, like ancient Babylon. Ancient Babylon's still here. He was cool with that. That was a fair exchange right there, as a matter of fact. You transgressed. He set Nebuchadnezzar up, and he did what the Lord had him to do. And when you read Daniel, the 4th chapter, Nebuchadnezzar, he believed in the Lord, especially after he got judged. Ecclesiastes 4, verse 14, one can come out of prison to reign, and a king can be born poor in his kingdom. And that's what we're going through. That's a good precept, as a matter of fact. Let me look at that. I don't know what translation they're giving me. We were born poor in this kingdom. Ecclesiastes 4. The evils of oppression. Verse 14. For out of prison he cometh to reign, whereas also he that is born in his kingdom becometh poor. Hold on, I gotta look this up. I think it's talking about, for he comes out of prison. No. Let's get the meaning. Ecclesiastes 4 verse 14 highlights the abrupt, God-ordained reversals of fortune, where a poor wise youth rises from obscurity or prison to take the throne. So that's Israel, replacing an old foolish king, which is Esau. Perfect. It's a beautiful precept. It illustrates that true wisdom and divine providence surpasses inherited power, while also showcasing the fickleness of popularity and the inevitability, vanity of political power. See? So the wisdom, true wisdom, okay, which comes from the Lord, and divine providence, which is like foresight. That's what providence means. Surpass inherited power. Okay? Because wisdom, let's go back to Wisdom of Solomon 6. Wisdom of Solomon 6 and 20. Therefore the desire of wisdom bringeth to a kingdom. Okay, so that's the Lord telling you how to get to the throne, man. You don't want to follow it? Hey, that's up to you, man. Good luck. And it says examples. Nebuchadnezzar, a mighty king who was humbled and driven to eat grass like oxen in Daniel 4. And that's the example I gave. Saul, first king of Israel, removed for disobedience. And who did that? The Lord. And one that was never thought of have won the crown. Never thought of, despised, overlooked, unexpected. Who is that? What nation of people do you think This despised, overlooked, and unexpected people. Do you think this describes the nation of Israel today? The Jewish man and things like that? Because they're using the identity of these people in the Bible to justify themselves in starting a world war in the Middle East. Worn the crown, exalted to rulership or honor. I think they're already in a form of being exalted. The Most High often chooses who the world rejects. Ooh. And you see who's being rejected now, Esau. Even through his own, look at the Brits. Brits ain't fucking with that nigga. I don't blame them. And you know what? The Lord told you that in Jeremiah 50, that these things were gonna happen. Even these small, nuanced things that you can't even overlook it because the Lord told us about it. Jeremiah 50 and verse. I start at 10. And Chaldea shall be a spoil. All that spoil her shall be satisfied, saith the Lord. Chaldea is talking about here in Babylon. All right. Because ye were glad, because ye rejoice, O ye destroyers of mine heritage. Who's the Lord's heritage? The nation of Israel. Your heritage goes into your inheritance. Okay, as a matter of fact, let's look that up. Jeremiah 50 and 50 and 11. Nahala.
Strong's H 5159. Nachala.
Nahala. It says inheritance. And who's the Lord's inheritance? Deuteronomy, the 32nd chapter tells you. All right. I'm not going to grab every precept, but it's good to run through the motions so you know that these things are here. Deuteronomy 32. And I'll get to the point. Verse 9. For the Lord's portion is his people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. So we're the Lord's inheritance. Okay, his possession, his property, his inheritance, his heritage, his portion. Okay. Jeremiah 50, verse 12. Your mother, which is Britain, shall be sore confounded. She that bare you shall be ashamed. And they're ashamed right now. Look at what America's associated with and how they handle things over here and the rhetoric that's coming out of this place when it pertains to their mother. Imagine a daughter talking to their mother with such disdain, disgrace. I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to come home. Ma, I'm taking over your room. You know, I'm going to bring my friends into your house. I'm going to have a party over there. That's sort of like what he's saying when he put tariffs on you. Like, who are you talking to like that? Okay, you came out of me. I didn't come out of you. It seems like you forgot who your mother is. I brought you into this world. I'll take you out. You know, that's what a black mother would say. But Esau, Britain's got that same type of mindset. Like, look at these people. They're ashamed of their own royal family. You know, allegedly, but, you know, he's still going through the motions of being persecuted. Esau ain't persecuted. Who's been persecuted so far? I mean, I've seen people lose positions, but that's not good enough. That's still not no form of accountability. All right, I choose to step down because of, you know, I'm on the Epstein's file, and then they don't even talk about the guy anymore. What were you doing over there? Now you need to be held accountable. What do you know? What did you do? This dude's being accused of all types of things, and you ain't got nothing to say. So you're seeing the difference, right? Behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness, a dry land, and a desert. Okay, but the point of the matter is the Lord shows you that this sore confounded, being ashamed. They're separating themselves from Babylon the Great. And you can't even blame them. All right. As a matter of fact, am I done with that? Key theme: the Most High controls elevation, status, power, wealth, all temporary unless He establishes it. This verse humbles the proud and comforts the lowly. So the lowly are the Israelites. They're the lowest in society. Who's lower than so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American? You can't think of one person. And if you do, let me know. They might be Israel. Carlson told Huckabee that the biblical verse had promised the land to the descendants of Abraham, including the area between the Euphrates River in Iraq and the Nile River in Egypt. So that's a vast amount of land. Such a swath would encompass modern-day Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, and parts of Saudi Arabia. We're getting all of that. All right. He thinks it's coming in. He's trying to steal our blessing because we stole his blessing, our forefather. Now he's trying to take it back from us. Not going to happen, Esau. What's up with my internet, man? He shall enlarge their tents, something like that. Yeah. Isaiah 52. Isaiah 54. Isaiah 54. I'll start at 1. Sing, O barren, thou didst not bear. Break forth into singing and cry aloud, thou that didst not travail with child. For more are the children of the desolate than the children of the married wife, saith the Lord. It sounds like it's referencing, I gotta see what this means. Because it sounds like it's talking about Hagar. A message of prophetic hope, calling a barren woman, symbolizing a desolate post-exilic Israel. Right. To rejoice and prepare for 11 million unexpected massive growth. What? It promises that future blessings and restoration will surpass past productivity, signifying God's ability to turn shame, emptiness, and despair into abundant, joyful, and fruitful life. And that's exactly what the nation of Israel is going to experience. And am I reading the right chapter? I am. Isaiah 54:2, enlarge the place of thy tent, and let them stretch forth the curtains of thine habitation. Spare not, lengthen thy cords, and strengthen thy stakes. And that's what he's going to do. Because originally in the Joshua, there was land that was allotted, but that's all going to be expanded. Just like it tells you in the book of Obadiah, that Judah shall possess the Esau's land. But all the land's going to be changed. Isaiah 54:3, not all the lands, but the property and all that, because after this destruction, the whole world map's going to look different. You know, all these different continents that you see today, you know, all that thermonuclear destruction, the earth being rocked to and fro like a drunkard, that's going to change the whole map of the world. It's going to be like a whole new world. So we're getting this thing fresh. All right? New everything. And then we're going to set the bounds that you cannot pass. Just like in the beginning. As a matter of fact, let me grab this precept in Deuteronomy. Is this still 32? Yep, Deuteronomy 32. And We'll read backwards. Deuteronomy 32:8. When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. So we already have our land allotted, but we don't know the borders and how that's going to be. But after that's established, then we're going to start working on you heathen and where you're going to be at, which part belongs to you. Okay, but that's after we whipping your ass to fix up our place. Okay, you're going to be bored. You're going to be building up our place first. Okay. So we're going to divide it to the nations their inheritance. And the Lord only knows what that's going to be like, and we're going to delegate that work. Isaiah 54 verse 3, for thou shalt break forth on the right hand and on the left, and thy seed shall inherit the Gentiles and make the desolate cities to be inhabited. So that's you building up the kingdom. Isaiah 54:3, it encourages acting in faith to increase capacity, strengthening stakes as they will inherit new territory, spread influence to the nations, and rebuild previously destroyed desolate cities like Israel. So now they want to go hard for something that don't belong to them. So it's all vanity. But I'll listen to the rhetoric they talking about. Recommended stories, blah, blah, blah. Carlson told Huckabee that the biblical verse had promised the land to the descendants of Abraham, including the area between Euphrates River, Iraq, and the Nile River in Egypt. Such a swath would encompass modern-day Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, and parts of Saudi Arabia. It would be fine if they took it all, said Huckabee, who was appointed by President Donald Duck last year. Of course he appointed him. Look at his mouth. Look what he's saying. Look at what Lindsey Graham is saying. He appointed him to be, he's sitting on the G7 with him. He talking about flatten, he said flatten Gaza. Yeah, flatten that place. And then he actually said raise it. Just like it tells you, and that's what he told the Babylonians to do against Jerusalem in the ancient times when we were over there. Yeah, flatten it to the ground. They're using that same, literally saying the same thing. It would be fine if they took it all, said Huckabee, who was appointed by President Donald Duck last year. Carlson, who appeared taken aback by the statement, asked Huckabee if indeed he would approve of Israel expanding over the entire region. They don't want to take it over. They're not asking to take it over, the ambassador replied. The U.S. envoy, an avowed Christian Zionist and staunch defender of Israel, later appeared to walk back his assertion, saying that it was somewhat of a hyperbolic statement. No, he told you exactly what he felt. Still, he left the door open for Israeli expansionism based on his religious interpretation. What the fuck is Israeli? What is this? What is this word? It's not in the Bible. They must go back to Jacoby. Relating to modern country of Israel, a native or inhabitant of Israel, or a person of Israeli descent. Yeah, you are an inhabitant of Israel. Just like the Lord told you there would be an inhabitant in Israel. Luke 21 and verse 24, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword and shall be led away captive into all nations. Now that's the real Israelites. They haven't been back in the land since 70 AD when the Romans took over and occupied that land. Well, you had the Byzantine Empire, so there was Israelites back in the land, but not in a they were going off too. That's where a lot of these wicked doctrines that you see today were created. but they still had, knew they were Israel, and they knew, but it wasn't all. It wasn't the northern kingdom either. Okay, so it wasn't the fulfillment of prophecy. And then they fully got taken out in 1453 with the pretty much Esau under the guise of the Ottoman. Or he came in with the Turks, something like that, in 1453. That's when the Byzantine Empire fell. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, which are the heathen, until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. And that time of the Gentiles is going to be fulfilled until the point the end comes. Jeremiah 49:20. They're in that land to do exactly one thing. And they're doing it. So it's good that I actually agree with Huckabee. Yeah, go take over, get all that land. Take it all over. Jeremiah 49:20. Therefore hear the counsel of the Lord, Yahweh, that he have taken against Edom and his purposes, that he have purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. So he's going to draw out Babylon the Great into war in the Middle East. That's why you hear the duck talk about 10 to 15 days before he attacks Iran. So we waiting. You know. But you're not hearing any missiles drop yet, but we'll see. Whether he does it in 10 to 15 days or not, they come with an agreement. Eventually it's going to happen. All right. If they end up getting attacked by all these places and they win that war and they take that land, okay, that's a whole other discussion, Huckabee said. But I thought Saudi Arabia, that's an ally. Why would they, wouldn't they be mad about what he said? The Department of State did not respond to Al Jazeera's request for comment on whether Secretary of State Marco Rubio shares Huckabee's views on Israelis' right to expand. He does share Huckabee's views, because Duck shares Huckabee views and Marco Rubio's his pet chihuahua. The principle of territorial integrity and the prohibition against the acquisition of land by force have been a bedrock of international law since World War II. I think Marco Rubio's they're going to be through. They're going to be through, man. He destroyed his political, his political life. He's done. Because he's showing you that he's wicked, and what he stands for is wickedness. So I don't think he's going to be, nobody going to be looking for him. No, I don't think anyone likes Marco. I don't know, something about Marco Rubio. I don't know if he reminds me of somebody. He seems like one of those people that do something strange for some change. That's all I'm saying. He'll do anything for a couple crumbs. The principle, I already read all of that. In 2024, the International Court of Justice ruled that Israeli occupation of the Palestinian territories is illegal and must cease immediately. The International Court of Justice, bullshit. But Israeli law does not clearly demarcate the country's borders. Israel also occupies the Golan Heights in Syria, which it illegally annexed in 1981. So, they're laying claim to all this land now. Our border goes all the way up into Syria now. The U.S. is the only country that recognizes Israel's claims sovereignty over the Syrian territory. Oh my God. Vanity. After the 2024 war with Hezbollah, Israel also set up military outposts in 5 points inside Lebanon. Yeah, so according to their doctrine, then that's why they bombing. They just killed one of those leaders. So Lebanon belongs to them. So that's why oh man, this is just, the more you read about this shit, the more you're like, what the hell's going on? Some Israeli politicians, including Prime Minister Benjamin, not a Jew, have openly promoted the idea of greater Israel with expanded borders. And I just read about that in Isaiah 54. Okay, yeah, that is a promise to Israel, but Luke 21:24, that ain't talking about you. You can have the whole Antarctica right now. Ain't no one over there. You ain't even got to blow up anybody. You can just go over there and live out your fantasies over there. Nope, he got to do it in Israel. Why? Because it's almost over. Because the how can I put it? The standard of being blessed and having it all is what the nation of Israel is. Okay, there's no other form of being high. There's or being in power. We're the standard of what being in power is. So he wants all of that, and you won't obtain it. That's the snare. You coveting something that don't belong to you. And the Lord's using that against you for you to fulfill prophecy. And he probably think, oh, I got all these strikes. That shit's all vanity, man. He could kill everybody and then kill all of his enemies, and then the Lord's going to destroy you. It doesn't matter. Because the Lord spoke against it, man. Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich stirred international outrage in 2023 when he spoke at an event featuring a map that included the Palestinian territories and portions of Lebanon, Syria, and Jordan as part of Israel set against the colors of the Israeli flag. In his interview with Carlson, Huckabee tried to argue that Israel's right to exist is rooted in international law, but he also attacked the legal institutions that oversee international law for their opposition to Israeli abuses. Oh, man. When they come up against you, now you ain't for it, right? One of the reasons I'm so grateful President Duck and Secretary Rubio are pushing hard trying to get rid of the ICC, International Criminal Court, and the ICJ is because they have become rogue organizations that are no longer really about an equal application of law, he said. Of course they're not. That border peace shit is full of shit. And the Lord told you, when they shall say peace and safety, that's what this is all about, fulfilling prophecy. But you heathen don't know shit. He's going down the step to be destroyed, and you guys are voting for it, walking behind it, rooting for it. So this is perfect. All right? The Lord's showing you the deceived and the deceiver are his. Let me finish this. Job 12:2. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee, and in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed. Right. Where do I want to go? I think I want to go to 15. Abram promised a son. No, it is. I think it. I heard Carlson say something about 15, but he probably don't know what the hell he's talking about. Let me see. Let's ask. Where does the scriptures tell Abraham that he will have the promised land of the Levant and all of that? Genesis 15 and 18, probably. Yep. Let's go there. Genesis 15 and 18. In the same day, the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land. from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. Okay, it says that seed is singular. He had multiple kids. All right, so when you watch if you watch it about Carlson, Tucker, and Huckabee, he mentions the fact the reason why the Arabs and the Israelis are fighting each other is because they have a same descendant in Abraham. But it shows you that they're both heathen because they don't understand the scriptures at all. They would understand. You got to read the scriptures precept upon precept. All right. First of all, they deny the Lord. He's the one that's going to bring you into the land. That's number one. Number two is the seed goes back to Galatians, the 4th chapter. I think it's like I want to get straight to the point. Galatians 4:28. Now we, brethren, as Isaac was, are the children of promise. Okay, not Ishmael. Okay, not Ishmael. I'm trying to think, is there another precept? Galatians 3. He's put counted for the seed. Okay, Romans 9:8. That is, they which are the children of the flesh, these are not the children of God, which is talking about you other nations. Y'all are not the children of God, but the children of the promise are counted for the seed. So the children of the promise are counted for the seed. And who are the children of the promise? Like it tells you in Galatians 4:28. Okay, it's talking about Isaac, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He don't descend to that. As a matter of fact, now the Jew Huckabee even blew up his spot and said, now the Jews from Poland, just like Maduro said. He's a Polish guy. So I don't know what these damn Polish people are doing, man. All right. That's the point. Galatians 4:28. Now we, brethren, as Isaac was, are the children of promise. So that voids Ishmael out the way right there. Okay, Ishmael ain't got no inheritance. He has his blessing. He's living through his blessing now. You got power. You got rulerships. You got all that money, oil. The Lord already blessed you. You had us in slavery too. Yeah, we're gonna fuck you up for that too. So these are just oppressors fighting each other. Ishmael, bunch of oppressors. The Chinese, oppressors. European Edomites, oppressors. They're gonna have their time where they're going into slavery. Okay, the Lord ain't dealing with them. And then you got Jacob and Esau. So that's Isaac and Ishmael. And then you got Jacob and Esau, the same story, pretty much. The blessing didn't go to Esau. All right, so that land, of the Levant and all of that, map of land promised to Abraham. This is what this nigga wants. See, the image he got is not even as great as what the Lord wanted to give us. I think this picture don't. I think it goes into Iran somewhat too. I think it's like half of Iran or something like that. No, it's into the Euphrates. So, yeah, yeah. So that's a lot, man. This is saying all of Saudi Arabia. That sounds about right. You know, so that don't belong to him. Yeah, so on the same day the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. So, the river of Egypt. What's that, the Nile? Nile River to the river Euphrates. That's a lot of land. You ain't got enough time to get all of that. You don't even have enough people to occupy all this land. You don't even produce children. Just vanity. You crazy. But you're going to have a big, huge pedophile party over there? Nah. Lord's going to ruin that party. That's going to be destroyed. Beyond his professional religious devotion to Israel, Huckabee has faced criticism for failing to speak up for the rights of U.S. citizens who have been killed and imprisoned by Israeli forces during his ambassadorship. Of course he is. He don't give a fuck about you Americans. Last year, Huckabee even sparked anger from, because look at America. It's not. It ain't America anymore. This is Babylon, man. That's what you're starting to realize. And the Chaldees are showing you that they run this place. It was America, but now it's Babylon. And it was Babylon's ever since y'all got off the gold standard. Ever since, pretty much it was Babylon since, it's always been Babylon. It's always been Babylon. But the point I'm trying to make is it's being more revealed to you. Last year, Huckabee even sparked anger from some conservatives in the U.S. when he met the convicted spy Jonathan Pollard, who sold U.S. intelligence secrets to the Israeli government, details of which later made it to the Soviet Union at the height of the Cold War. Yeah, Jonathan Pollard. Small hat. Selling intelligence, U.S. intelligence secrets to Israeli government. So you've been infiltrated. And that's what you get. And they hate you Christians and shit. They hate y'all with a passion. I think Amalek might hate y'all more than he hates us. He hates y'all. He be trying to suck up to us because he knows, if I can look good with them, then the rest of the world will accept me. But if I accept the so-called white man, they gonna think I'm like him. Nah, they don't. He don't want to do that. Huckabee said, Pollard, a former civilian analyst in the U.S. Navy, served 30 years in jail and moved to Israel. In 2020, after his release, he never expressed regret for his crimes, and in 2021, he called on Jewish employees in U.S. security agencies to spy for Israel. Huckabee said he does not agree with Pollard's views, but he denied hosting him, arguing that he simply held a meeting with him at the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem. They love him. Yeah, thank you for giving us those top secrets we needed. I saw him get off a plane, and now the Jew kind of like smiled at him like, thank you for what you did. Asked if anyone can walk into the embassy to meet the envoy, Huckabee acknowledged that such a meeting requires a pre-approved appointment. He was also able to come to the U.S. Embassy to have a meeting at his request. I did, and frankly, I don't regret it. Huckabee said, I met with a lot of people over the course of the time I've been here and will meet with a lot more. So, hey, he agrees to take it over. And you know what? I agree. Go take it over. This is Mr. Huckabee right there. And you know what? That's that tongue falling upon itself. Their tongue shall fall upon itself. That's what we're seeing when they start exposing themselves. Because he's just talking, right? And he's not knowing that there's prophets matching it up with scripture and waking up the elect. So marrying him to him being Esau, and this also helps those of you who ain't really built up to see that these ain't the people, which should give you encouragement to show that you are the children of God, which the Lord, that's why the Lord has this ministry in the first place. He's not giving these niggas no wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. He's giving them tools to destroy themselves. They're not trusting. We just read in Wisdom of Solomon 6:20, it's wisdom that leadeth to a kingdom. You can read Ecclesiastes, the 9th chapter. It tells you that wisdom is better than weapons of war. Okay, so weapons of war are not necessarily going to lead to a kingdom, but he tells you this wisdom is. And he told you in Baruch 4:28, seek him 10 times more. So he's telling you pretty much like the prodigal son to come back home. That's how you get back to the throne. Okay, Psalm 64:8. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. Let's look this up. So him making his tongue to fall upon himself is him exposing himself. That's what he's doing. He's exposing himself. My cat's acting like a demon. He's a fucking demon, I'm telling you. So it says Psalm 64 is a psalm of David dealing with secret plots, slander, and wicked men who sharpen their tongue like a sword. This chapter shows how the wicked use words as weapons, but the Most High turns their devices back on them. So they shall make their own tongue fall upon themselves. Tongue, speech, slander, false witness, accusations. The wicked use their tongue to frame mischief, accuse the righteous, spread lies secretly, plot destruction. But the Most High reverses it. And that's right. That's what he's doing. Okay? I mean, in this interview, he's plotting destruction. But we're using it to show you that, first of all, these ain't the people. That's number one. The Lord said, I'm going to bring you into that land. You shall learn war no more, like it tells you in Isaiah, the 2nd chapter. It looks like they're learning war. They're learning even more war because they need more capability. Okay, Isaiah 2:4, and he shall judge among the nations and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares. So your swords would be your military capability into plowshares, which are farming instruments. All right, or you're gonna be allocating your resources into building up a nation, and their spears into pruning hooks. Same thing. Your spears would be going to your military capability into agricultural tools. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation. Okay, they're trying to fight Iran like within the next 10 to 15 days. Okay, neither shall they learn war anymore. They're learning war. He just killed the Hezbollah leader Friday. Okay, so this is not God's universal reign that they're talking about. They claim to be the people, but it doesn't represent his universal reign. Okay? They're not them. they should be waking up the whole nation of Israel, trying to get back the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom after the split of King Solomon. That's the gathering of, this word should be gathering them up. But every time you go talk to them, it's all secret. You can't even ask them how much they spend on EBT. What occupation do they have? They start acting weird. All right? So they're just not the people. And that's not, I'm not saying all of them are not, though. Some of them are that are scattered because of the Lord scattered some people, but as a majority, they're not. And not a Jew definitely ain't a Jew. Spiritual point, their own lies, accusations, and false testimony will expose and destroy them. And that's exactly what he just did. Huckabee exposed himself spiritually. And that whole nation. And they expose themselves every single day. They'll be doing some stupid shit tomorrow, breaking some type of law that shows you they're Edomites. All that, see them shall flee away. When judgment hits, people distance themselves. Their reputation collapses. Fear spreads because the Most High's judgment is visible. And this is what we're seeing. People are already trying to distance themselves, like the European Union and NATO, right? They're starting to distance themselves. You're seeing that separation. Their reputation's collapsing because of the Epstein files. We're starting to see that. It ain't really the Epstein files. It's really the prophets. The prophets really been talking all this stuff before this Epstein shit came out. It's just that y'all listen to the, according to Ecclesiasticus 13. Let's grab that. Because you people are stupid. Ecclesiasticus 13, verse 23. When a rich man speaketh, every man holdeth his tongue. And look what he saith. Yes, so when you hear it when it's on the news, you hear it, other rich people, maybe Elon Musk, he'll talk about the Epstein files and all of that. You'll listen to him. He wasn't on the highways and hedges. He wasn't bringing out Bible scriptures. He wasn't doing what the Lord said his elect would be doing in these last days. But you'd rather listen to him. Like it says, they extol it to the clouds. Yeah, did you hear what Elon Musk said? He said that, Donald Duck's on the Epstein files, and then you believe it. All of this shit. This is the wicked elite and all of that. But if the poor man speak, they say, what fellow is this? Like, who are you? Who's this guy talking about how do you know that? You don't know. That's your own interpretation. And if he stumble, they will help to overthrow him. So they don't, they'll help to even overthrow you. Okay? They'll even figure out a way, like, this dude ain't right. That's if you stumble. Oh, see, he don't know what he's talking about. What you stumbling for? What you stuttering for? Well, you said that word wrong. Why are you on the street? It's always something. But the Lord got a scripture for everything. Is that it on that? I think that's it. What else it says? Key Hebrew insight, tongue, lashon, meaning literal tongue, speech, language, accusation. In scripture, the tongue can bless or destroy. Proverbs 18:21. And that's their tongue falling upon themselves. It's really destroying them. It is really destroying them. Their mouth, their lies, they don't work. They ain't hitting like they used to. The wicked weaponize speech. The Most High weaponizes justice. What they speak against the righteous returns to condemn them. That's right. And this is something that we're condemning this greater Israel bullshit. They don't belong to you. It's not that we condemn the greater Israel. Israel's going to be great. 100%. I agree with the fact that there's going to be expanded borders. I agree that Israel's going to be great. But the people who are going to occupy that land ain't them. Let's grab this in Proverbs 18 and 21. It's the elect of Israel. And then the 2/3 are going to come through the loins of the elect. Proverbs 18 and 21. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. Yeah, that's right. You're going to eat the fruit of your speech. All right, so you better watch your mouth. Oh, you gonna do this to the real Israelites while you do? Oh, I'm gonna do this and destroy that and flatten this. Okay, you gonna raise that, right? Okay. Arab and Islamic states condemn U.S. envoy remarks on Israeli control over occupied lands. That's what I want to read. This is talking about what Huckabee said to Chris Charles Tucker, whatever. What's the name? Not Charles Tucker. Carlson Tucker. Egypt and a broad group of Arab and Muslim countries, along with major regional organizations, issued a joint statement condemning remarks attributed to the U.S. ambassador to Israel that suggested it would be acceptable for Israel to exercise control over Arab territories, including the occupied West Bank. So that's that pride. And it tells you in 2nd Esdras 15, the dragons of Arabia, they're hearing this shit too. They're like, okay, that's what you think? You think you're going to occupy this with us being over here? I'm going to dash you to pieces. The statement, released in Arabic and English, described the comments as dangerous and inflammatory and said they represent a flagrant violation of international law and the UN Charter, while posing a serious threat to regional security and stability. And that's what the cancer does. It always disrupts the system. So they're trying to spread themselves like a green bay tree, and it's like you're getting a response. Things are heating up. It's like you're getting flu. You know, I'm sick. You know, that's what you're starting to see. Think you're sick, but it's Amalek. He's spreading like a disease. The statement, released in Arabic, I read that signatories included the foreign ministers of Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Bahrain, and UAE, Qatar, Indonesia, Pakistan, Turkey, Syria, Palestine, Kuwait, Lebanon, and Oman, in addition to the Gulf Cooperation Council, the League of Arab States, and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. So all this rhetoric is bringing 2nd Esdras 15 to pass, with the dragons of Arabia remembering themselves, especially the situation in Iran. You got the Taliban. As a matter of fact, Pakistan just bombed the Taliban. They just bombed Afghanistan. So that's another war that supposedly stopped. That's kicking back off. As a matter of fact, I got that right here. Nope. That's different. I read something. I forgot where I read it at. It said the breath gives the statement unusual diplomatic weight, especially as it brings together Arab states and wider Islamic institutions under one message of sovereignty, occupation, and the future of Palestinian territories. So it's them getting together. Let me grab that in 2nd Esdras 15. That's been speaking up more and more. When these different Arab nations coming together, because Iraq and Taliban, or the Iranians and the Taliban, are two different Muslim groups that hate each other, but they've been agreeing on coming up against America. 2nd Esdras 15, in verse 28, behold, a horrible vision in the appearance thereof from the east, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. And you see that with Taliban. They got all types of shit now. They got American grade military that was left there. They're flying shit. They weren't able to fly before. They were on foot. They were on foot before. Now they got tanks. They probably got their drone game up. You know, they're agreeing to help Iraq or Iran. So even if you flatten Iran, you still got Taliban, you got Syria, you got all this shit. You know, so you can't just bomb them to smithereens. That doesn't work, man. You're gonna have to go there, boots on the ground, and you really can't take over. You can't do any like a land invasion because you ain't familiar with that area. Now you can sit in a classroom and learn about the land, and it still ain't gonna work. Okay, because when in practical application, it just don't work. It's always the person who got home court that they're gonna be able to plan better than you. 2nd Edges 15 verse 30. Also the Carmanians, which are the Iranians, raging in wrath, shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians. So they're gonna bomb the Assyrians, talking about Esau. You know, right now we know their capability doesn't reach as far as America, but they can definitely hit Israel right now. But who knows within the next year or two, or if because Russia they're doing naval drills with them. They don't need to you know, those nuclear towers and create it. They can just get one from Russia. You know, so, and it tells you in the book of Jeremiah 51:2, those fanners. So these different nations with nuclear capability, Iran's gonna be one of them. So I wouldn't be surprised if they actually get, because this is what they're saying, to waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians, that's bombing America. You know, but I'm just saying where we at now, they can't reach here, supposedly from what they say. But who knows how far away they are from actually reaching and hitting over here in Babylon. And then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature, and if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them. And they just all agreed to come up against Mr. Huckabee with all that rhetoric he was talking about with Carlson Tucker. Oh yeah, they should just take over the whole Middle East. Oh yeah? Then these shall be troubled and keep silence through their power and shall flee. So you're going to run out of there. And from the land of the Assyrians shall the enemy besiege them and consume some of them, and in their host shall be fear and dread and strife among their kings, because you're going to be getting destroyed. All right? I think that's it. Behold, clouds from the east and from the north unto the south, and they are very terrible to look upon, full of wrath and storm. They shall smite one upon another, and they shall smite down a great multitude of stars upon the earth. Then their own star and blood shall be from the sword unto the belly, and dung of men unto the camel's hoof. So a lot of dead bodies, man. And there shall be great fearfulness and trembling upon earth, and they that see the wrath shall be afraid, and trembling shall come upon them. I think that's it. But those dragons remembering themselves is what we're starting to see. They're all agreeing together against Amalek here. The joint statement flatly rejected any suggestion that Israel could claim sovereignty over occupied Palestinian territory or any other occupied Arab land. It also reiterated opposition to any attempt to annex the West Bank, separate it from Gaza Strip, or expand settlement activity in occupied Palestinian territory. So the Lord's even using those Palestinians as that's going to be a snare too. That's a huge political situation. The fact that they're calling it a genocide, that's what they did with the so-called Native Americans, that's what they did with pretty much everybody. That's what they're doing with the people now. In these last days, they're going to start killing you niggas too. You people here, you people going to die. That's Jacob's trouble is going to be, man, you people don't know shit. That's why you don't listen to these damn heathen. 2 Esdras 5 verse 1, nevertheless, as concerning the tokens, which are the signs, behold, the day shall come, that they which dwell upon earth shall be taken in a great number, and the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. That's right. Because you don't know shit. You people going to be trusting in stupid shit, and you're going to die. It says, it further warned that continued expansionist policies and unlawful measures would only deepen violence and conflict and undermine prospects for peace, calling for an end to what is described as incendiary statements. Let's look at this word. I ain't trying to highlight all that. Incendiary. Designed to cause fires. That's right. Yeah, that's exactly what he's doing. His rhetoric is designed to cause fires. As a matter of fact, the Lord said it was going to be like that in these last days. What precept is that? If it's not already kindled. I know it's in the New Testament. Maybe it's kindled. Yes, definitely. Yes, Luke 12 verse 49. I am come to send fire on the earth, and what will I if it be already kindled? So things are already going to be kicking off by the time the Lord gets here. And we're seeing the beginnings of these fires, these sparks. The statement also reaffirms support for the Palestinian people's right to self-determination and for an independent Palestinian state on June 4th, 1967 lines. Ooh, what happened here in June 4th, 1967 lines? Search. The 1967 border, which is defined as the 1949 armistice line with all legal modification thereto up to June 4th, 1967, is the internationally recognized border between Israel and the occupied state of Palestine. A basic principle of international law is that no state may acquire territory by force. So that's clearly, how are they going to occupy the West Bank and all? And he keeps talking about annexation of the West Bank. So shows you your covenant with death. Describe that. You make deals with this nigga. What do you think he did to us? Isaiah 28 verse 15, because ye have said, we have made a covenant with death, and with hell are we at agreement. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, it shall not come to us. For we have made lies our refuge, and under falsehood have we hid ourselves. So you don't know you dealing with the devil, man. Look how many treaties he broke with the Native Americans. You think he gonna treat you heathen any different? This is why you people are stupid. You probably happy as hell when you sign that. Yeah, 1967 lines. Yeah, okay, word. And they looking at you like, yeah, shake my hand. Oh yeah, see, it's a sale. You went right to sleep. And he was like, yeah, we gonna get them niggas later. We gonna rock them to sleep. We gonna give them some smallpox blankets. We gonna kill them slowly. By the time they figure out what's going on, majority of them are gonna be dead. Just like what happened with the Native Americans. In a notable formulation, the signatory said the envoy's remarks contradict the vision put forward by U.S. President Donald Duck and the broader plan to end the Gaza conflict, which they said is based on containing escalation and creating a political horizon for a comprehensive settlement that ensures an independent Palestinian state. Yeah, but they telling you peace and safety and then sudden destruction. That's how they get you. You're over here trying to make deals. They clearly not a Jew. He's been accusing you since 1996 about nuclear missiles in Iran. So he has, 30 years of accusing you of the same shit, and you ain't never did nothing. But now he got the duck, and the duck is with it. He's with him on it. So these people they understand that there's nothing you could do. They're fully set to do evil. They're fully set. There's nothing you can change. You can bring up old agreements and shit. That's just over with. All right. It says the language appears aimed not only at rejecting the ambassador's comments, but also at drawing a line between those remarks and the diplomatic framework Arab capitals say they can engage with. They're drawing a line between those remarks and the diplomatic framework Arab capitals say they can engage with. So that line, there's a line. There's only so much you could take. There's only so much, man. Because it tells you in the book of Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter. Let's grab it. Ecclesiasticus 12. And where it says, well, he'll take thy seat. Yeah, Ecclesiasticus 12, verse 12, set him not by thee, lest when he have overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. So he'll want to do a regime change, right? And then take thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. That's what he ultimately wants to do. He wants to take your seat. He wants to set up some puppet government there. And thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith. So once he sits to take your seat, he gonna claim to be you, and he gonna destroy the rest of your people and have you all in slavery and serving him. And he'll be at the head of every industry in that country, and you'll get to a point where he'll cause overinflation and him putting chips and devices in your right hand and shit like that. Pretty much putting you to death. And you don't want to end up like these so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. He'll tell you something else. Yeah, you ain't Palestinian anymore. Now he might just call you black. He might call you something else. Who knows? Set him not by thee. It says the statement comes amid heightened international concern over Israeli actions in the occupied West Bank and growing warnings from the diplomats and UN officials about creeping annexation dynamics. And they always talking about annexation. Recent international reporting has described a widening backlash over Israeli measures in the territory and fears that such steps could further erode the chances of a two-state solution. They already agreed to one. Now they reneging on it. So no agreement that you make with this nigga is ever valid because they're wicked. Regional reactions reported in recent days have also linked the latest diplomatic protests to remarks attributed to U.S. Ambassador Mike Huckabee, whose comments triggered condemnations from multiple capitals. For Egypt, the joint statement fits into Cairo's broader position, combining support for de-escalation in Gaza, rejection of Palestinian displacement, and insistence on a political settlement anchored in Palestinian statehood. And that ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work, man. Prophecy is gonna be fulfilled, like I said in Jeremiah 49:20, second Esdras 15. I think I read 28 through 38. All these things are gonna come to pass, man. They're gonna bomb the land of Assyria. You know, once they start talking about we can hit Babylon too. Shit. Because they ain't really, it's always that person that don't really tell you he ain't really scared, man. But this is the times we're getting into. But I'm gonna end it here. Lord's will, this is edifying. Shalom.